Third down and 20.
Wide receivers, Patriots, Nelson Aguilar, wide receiver 70, Jacoby Myers 72, N'Keal Harry 111, Kendrick Bourne 112, Trey Nixon not ranked, Gunnar Olszewski not ranked, Bill Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 7, Gabriel Davis 55, Cole Beasley 84, Emmanuel Sanders 118, Isaiah Hodgins 125, Isaiah McKenzie not ranked, Dolphins, Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 25, Will Fuller 45, Devontae Parker 62, Preston Williams 95, Lynn Bowden 101, Jakeem Grant not ranked, and then the Jets, Corey Davis wide receiver 52, Elijah Moore wide receiver 29, Denzel Mims 57, Jameson Crowder 75, and Keelan Cole 121. I think we've been starting with the Patriots, so I mean, just real quick, who's the Patriots' number one wide receiver, guys? Like, who is that guy?
Because that's Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers.
Look at that. The squad has we're getting some heat for saying that we like Jacoby Myers 3-4 months ago, but I agree. I think Jacoby Myers is the wide receiver 1 on this team. And to be honest, I don't think this team really I don't want anyone else. Like you only want the wide receiver 1 from this team. I don't think that any of the other guys will be fantasy relevant. Like, I don't want Kendrick Bourne. I don't want N'Keal Harry. I'm not even sure N'Keal Harry is on the team come September.
I'd watch Trey Nixon, but that's just me.
Trey Nixon's the only other guy.
We all had him as underrated.
Yeah. But the team, though, it's just what is kind of crazy is the highest wide receiver ranked is Nelson Aguilar at wide receiver 70. So you're essentially saying every team on average at least has 2 wide receivers better than the first Patriots wide receiver, which I think is kind of insane. It's probably
Jacoby
not
Myers should
accurate.
be way higher. And honestly, Aguilar too. 70 is kind of tough.
Here's the problem with Myers and Aguilar, because if you look at keep trade cut, they're tremendous value, and they're probably tremendous value in startups as well. But I think JT can attest to this, especially, is that you're not going to be able to get him at this wide receiver 70 price in a trade because they're good enough to where an owner's like, no, I'm not going to just give him up for bullshit. Like, you're going to actually have to throw like a second round pick to move him. And at that point, you're not paying a wide receiver 70 price for them. So while I could easily say, oh, go trade for these guys, like, unless you really need a receiver, I think the best way to end up with one of these players is to trade down into them. Like, let's say, kind of like the example I was using last week, like if I'm giving away a T. Higgins, well, all of a sudden Jacoby Myers looks like pennies, and that's how I think you'd want to get into him, is in a deal where you're trading from one of these sexy young pieces into,
and try to get him as
I'll throw 80 Jacoby Myerses to get one of those guys.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of tried to do that with Jake. Jake did not accept that. Where I was trying to give him Jacoby Myers. And
he has to be like a throw-in. You have to be getting him. Like,
well, he was like the 4th piece on what I was giving Jake.
Yeah, except they were all the same equivalent of Jacoby Myers.
That's not true. I was given like 201. No, I was given like 201 in a super flex plus multiple seconds plus Jonnu Smith. Like, Jacoby Myers was like the least valuable of them.
The backup tight end.
But you are getting there is one player on this team that is going to be a steal. You can see it.
Yeah.
Like, know there's no shot that they don't have a receiver in the top 70 players.
There was a point in time. There was like a 4-week stretch where Jacoby Myers was outscoring DeAndre Hopkins, and like they were both healthy. The situations were the same. Like, Jacoby Myers was outscoring DeAndre Hopkins, and then
I'm not going to look too much.
Think about how many times Cam Newton threw it in the dirt right in front of him.
Exactly.
Even though I like Jacoby Myers, I'll refute that. There was like a 5-week stretch where Travis Fulgham was like wide receiver too.
No, yeah, I agree. But Travis Fulgham was carried. Travis Fulgham was carried by touchdowns. Do you guys know how many touchdowns Jacoby Myers scored in his career? In his career, 0. He scored 0 career touchdowns, and he was like performing like he's a PPR machine. I think he's a
strong word, but yeah,
he's the next in line of the Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman, like that. This is Jacoby Myers' role to it's his for the taking, because Kendrick Bourne's not familiar with the playbook, and Kendrick Bourne honestly isn't really scaring me. So it's Jacoby Myers, and then it's Nelson Aguilar, and then nothing really. Maybe you put Trey Nixon on your taxi. That's it. Moving on, we've got the Bills, who they've got their stud in Stephon Diggs and then Gabriel Davis, who most of us are high on. I don't really know what to say about this team. I think the one that I want to focus on actually is not those two guys. It's Emmanuel Sanders, who Lounis and I have as the backup tone. Cole Beasley came out with some weird statements that, like, I don't know. It got controversial. People on both sides were like arguing back and forth over what he had to say.
Thrashed on Twitter.
Like, he threatened to retire over the COVID vaccine and testing.
I don't think it was just about like. If it's like he's anti-vax, it's whatever. But I think no, it was like the comparison he made. It was like I had like
no, we're not getting into that right now.
It was like the 1% chance I make it to the NFL and played in 8 years. It was like something I forgot what he said word for word.
It was weird, but so you've got Cole Beasley threatening retirement. I mean, Frank's high on Isaiah Hodgins. None of us really like Isaiah McKenzie. I think Emmanuel Sanders is that wide receiver 3, maybe even wide receiver 2. Like, they lost John Brown. Who knows what Cole Beasley's going to do? Emmanuel Sanders, I still think has something in the tank. So that's the guy that I'm looking at to acquire for real cheap. Like, I don't even know what he's worth at this point. Like, can't be much more than a fourth. He'd be the one that I'd be looking to snag.
What you have to remember about the Bills is that, like, the Bills' third receiver is going to get way more targets than their starting running back. Like,
yeah.
Like, dude, this team they're like, hey, Josh Allen, here's the ball. Go chuck it 80 fucking times. Like, we do not care.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of priced accordingly, though. The Bills' third wide receiver is priced almost the same as the Patriots' first wide receiver. So, like,
yeah,
you are kind of seeing that. I don't know. We know Josh Allen's good. I think we're all pretty confident Stephon Diggs will be fine. None of us have him as the most confident to maintain value, but
I think that's just due to his age. That's the only reason I didn't put it there. Is because I think he's still going to produce massively, but I think then people are going to turn around and go, "Oh, he's 28." He's done.
I didn't really want to pick overrated or underrated. Wide receiver 7 is fine. I expect him to be a top 10 wide receiver for the next couple years. He's still a stud. He's a wide receiver 1.
Mm-hmm. We talked about Hodgins last week. Anything else you guys want to add on
real
Bills?
Quick, JT.
Why am I getting clowned?
The fact that Cole Beasley is your overrated at wide receiver 84 when he finishes a mid wide receiver 2 last year. Get out of here.
You're clowning yourself.
No, he's not my most overrated. He's just
executive clown.
I just said he was overrated. He's not my most overrated. Get out here with that. That's malarkey.
Malarkey.
It's a dictatorship.
Yeah. It's malarkey.
That's unfair. That's unfair because we don't even know he threatened retirement. So
all right, I'll remember. You convinced me. All right, let's move on.
All right, we spent a lot of time already on Jalen Waddle, so I think we could skip him. The Dolphins. I think what we really have to cover is Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, and even I guess Lynn Bowden, who was kind of like a mix. I just stuck him with wide receivers, so like he could kind of see running back touches too, which we didn't even really talk about. Will Fuller is the guy that I'm most confident will maintain his value. Like he could be the wide receiver 1 on this team, to be honest. And he's
wide receiver 45 is pretty low.
Yeah, he's 20 spots behind Jalen Waddle. He is going to miss the first game due to the suspension. But I think he's the guy, like, if he can stay healthy, which has been a big if in the past, like he'll be the wide receiver 1 on this team, I believe. You guys have anything to add on Fuller?
I don't think for the whole season. I think by like the second half of the season, we'll see Waddle taking over. But I think he's gonna have a better. He should be higher than 45. He should be in the 30s somewhere. That's my opinion.
Do you guys like any of are you going out and getting Devontae Parker or Preston Williams?
I'm not trying to buy either. I mean, I guess it's like if their value is like close to nothing, like it depends. Like what can you get Devontae Parker for right now?
You'd probably
late
pay
second?
a second, which is too much.
Yeah, I'm not paying a second for Devontae Parker. It really, I feel like maybe Preston is someone you could maybe see value in like a startup because I guess he's going really late. But even him, like he hasn't been the same since that knee injury.
Yeah,
I am not touching Preston Williams a 10-foot pole.
He's got a lot of hype.
Another 10-foot
He's got
pole.
a lot of hype.
He was good his rookie year. It's just ever since
he was good
like
for like
games.
6 games.
It's kind of
he
like
only played like 8 games his rookie year.
Well, the thing about Preston Williams is like if people value Travis Fulgham really highly still, like that's what Preston Williams currently is. I have
a general rule
he's
of
better
thumb.
than that.
I have a general rule of thumb. If there is a player that I am hammering their under on receptions and making cash basically every single week except for one, I am not going to go out and buy that player. I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
That's fair.
Good point.
We're bringing Ben into this. All right, let's move on. Then the Jets, they're the most interesting one. Corey Davis, almost across the board, we had as the most underrated. Wide receiver 52 is just insane to me. When I think
That's
he's like
crazy.
I think he's the guarantee. I like Elijah Moore. I still think Corey Davis is like the guaranteed wide receiver one on this team.
I think he's someone that contenders should go and like. In our league, I know the person who has him values him a lot, so it's kind of tough for us. But I think in other leagues, if you're a contender, I would see what the price is for Corey Davis because he's going to be the number one receiver. And even if you're like an Elijah Moore believer and think he can become the number one eventually, which I do think, it's going to take a little bit of time, and he's going to be playing in the slot a lot. Like Corey Davis is going to be the pure outside number one.
I mean, think about it like this, too. If we're expecting to see a similar offense to what the 49ers run, I mean, they like these big athletic receivers that you put the ball in their hands and they can make something happen. I mean, that's what Corey Davis was last year for the Tennessee Titans, and we can only expect that to continue. So, yeah, I completely agree with that, Lounis. If you're a contender, you have a second-round pick, shop it for Corey Davis. If you need a receiver that can play in your flex spot, and maybe even if you have like 3 receivers and you need a third wide receiver, dude, instead of saying, oh, I'm going to roll the dice at 207 on some random receiver, why not trade it for Corey Davis and get a guy that you know can produce?
Now, I think we talked about Elijah Moore a lot. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, Jake's on the anti-Corey Davis train.
I'm not. I mean, at receiver 52, he is undervalued. There's no doubt about it. But to come out here and say that you think he's what? You think he's a reliable wide receiver 3 for a contender
for next season?
Yeah. A flex player, why not?
Just like I thought he needs to be the number 2 wide receiver on a team. He is not the alpha wide receiver. That's why he was so successful when A.J. Brown finally broke out, because teams could shift their coverage towards A.J. Brown. Yes, he'll beat a one-on-one coverage every time. I understand that. But in this Jets offense, he's not going to get that. I think this offense is going to be so split up. I think people are underrating players like Jamison Crowder and Keelan Cole, who are established veteran wide receivers. I mean, obviously, Corey Davis is better. I'm not saying he's not, but I'm just saying he's not going to be as open as he was with A.J. Brown on the opposite side of him last year.
Now, Jake, you kind of just touched on some stuff. I think we talked about Elijah Moore a lot already, and we're kind of short on time. So I think what we could talk about right now, though, is that third wide receiver, right? Because I feel like Denzel Mims, he's the person that, I mean, I even tweeted about it from the 3rd and 20 account. Like, people were really starting to buy into the Denzel Mims hype, and I was like, I don't know about this, everyone. Like, I think this might be his peak value. And then, news broke out that he was in training camp or whatever, the OTAs, he was running with the second team. And I think the valuation
right 57. I mean, I'll make my.
Well, that's where I was going, Lounis. Right? I think at this point it's going to start to overcorrect to the point where Denzel Mims might be a buy again, because I still think he could be a solid wide receiver, and if you're ranking him that low, I think it's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, I guess when I first saw it and I saw Mims only 5 spots lower than Corey Davis, I was like, are you kidding me? But I moved my most overrated. Like, I feel like everyone's kind of catching up, like you said, to kind of being like lower on him.
Yeah, because I think even his current price, like what Keep Trade says,
what's
like
his current price right now? Yeah,
right now, Denzel Mims versus pick 208 when people were in trade him, he's basically worth 208, and people wouldn't trade him for like an early second.
I'd still rather have 208.
Yo, here's Denzel Mims. Denzel Mims is this little notebook.
Yeah.
Right in the trash can. Get him out of here.
I think I'd rather have 208. I'd give up not an early third, but I think something
I'd give up an early
round
third
for him.
An early third for Denzel Mims, I'd be willing to do. Because to be honest, after like Diami Brown and maybe
304,
Nico Collins, like I don't really love many of these wide receivers in that range.
I mean, like at the beginning, I'd still take like a Josh Palmer or Nico Collins, like you said, over.
Maybe Keelan Cole over Denzel Mims. I think Keelan Cole, he's my backup to
I agree.
Keelan Cole is like actually a good receiver, and I think part of the reason people don't realize that is that I really doubt many people actually watched a ton of the Jaguars games.
What do you mean? You don't like watching a 1-15 team?
Yeah, a 1-15 boring ass offense. Like, dude, Keelan Cole is good. He was a guy that I had my eye on for wherever he went in free agency. And like, yeah, am I expecting anything from Keelan Cole? No, but he's probably at the back end of rosters on most leagues or on waivers, and you can pick him up.
Probably get him for a 5th or a 4th round pick max.
Yeah, you could get him for like a mid-4th during a rookie draft. Someone wants someone. Hey, here's a mid-4th for Keelan Cole. Hell yeah, I like that. I think Keelan Cole has some nice upside that is not really being priced in right now. I'm not expecting much out of him, but dude, he could easily pan out to be a wide receiver 3, finish like wide receiver 45, 43 on the season, and have some weeks where he's startable. That is nowhere near priced into his wide receiver 121 price.
Yeah, he's essentially free. So, yeah.
And I guarantee you he was on waivers at some point in your league like last year. And like obviously if you have big-ass leagues, it's different. But